some very interesting topics out there here. Daniel J. Flynn, conservative author, contributor with the American Spectator, author of A Conservative History of the American Left, Flynn Files, FLYNNfiles.com, his website, and has a new article out titled Shush, about how the library, his library that he uses regularly, has become basically where the mentally ill people and homeless people hang out. Daniel, welcome to the program.
Hey, thank you for having me.
So, first of all, you want to describe the situation to us that you characterized in your article?
Sure. I've been writing a book called The War on Football for the last 8 months or so, and I found my local public library. It breaks up kind of the monotony of my desk at home. So I go there for about 4 hours a day. So I can't, complain too much because I go there every day. I have 14 items checked out right now. Not all of them are books. I love the library, but at the same time, there's a bit of a mission creep that's going on, and I think the mission creep invites creeps into libraries. Now, to give you an indication of how extreme this can be, there's a school near me called the Cushing Academy. It's a fancy prep school, $40,000 a year. You pay that $40,000. It doesn't even allow you the ability to check out a book in the school's library because they've decided to do away with books at their library, and instead they spent $500,000 revamping the library into what they call a learning center. It has 3 giant screen TVs, a cappuccino machine, but they don't even have a single book. Now, it's not gotten that bad in my local library. But I think the emphasis on DVDs, the emphasis on computers, the emphasis on CDs, and even now video games at some libraries has brought a crowd into the library that aren't in the least bit interested in what a library is set up for.
Yeah. Now, libraries are among our most enduring socialist institutions. When Ben Franklin first came up with this idea. At that time, he had founded the Juno Society before the founding of this republic, and there was a group of him and a number of his friends, I think it was about a dozen of them, who would get together every couple of weeks and drink fine wines and coffee, and they shared a library. They shared each other's libraries in this room where the Juno Society met. And then he said, well, let's open this to the entire public, not their own personal little library, but this should be a public institution. And Franklin is generally credited as the father of the public library, and we've pretty much had public libraries paid for by we the people through our tax dollars as part of our commons, as part of the stuff that we all own in common since the founding of the republic, and. I agree with you that they're great places, and you should be able to have access to books and information. This is, the reason that Jefferson signed on to it was, and others of the founders, was that they genuinely believed that if the electorate was not well informed and didn't have access to information, regardless of their wealth, then you couldn't have a functioning democracy. So it seemed to me that your article was mostly concerned with the fact that there were people who were in the library who were not there for the books. They were there to have sex in the restroom, or they were there to sleep, or they were there. Basically they were looking for other things. Do I have that right?
Yeah, that you have people who are there to use the library for what it was set up for, and you have other people who are there who don't have any place to go during the day, and
right.
So they use it to talk rather loudly. They use it to play The Sims and other. I see a lady; she plays the same video game every day. They use it for to shoot up in the bathroom, and this is more of a maybe an urban inner city problem. And if you have you live in a city, these are city problems, and
right.
those city problems are not the library's not going to be immune from it. But
So
I wonder to what extent the mission creep in the library has sort of let in all the creeps and has made it more difficult for people who are there, for the books and to basically
Sure.
enjoy a citadel of quiet in a very loud world. I mean, I think one of the things that's terrible about the world that we live in is we go to the gas station, there's a television blaring in our face. You sit in the back of a cab, there's a TV. Even at the checkout line now, there are televisions with advertisements and sending you all sort of messages. The library, to me, is a place where you can get away from that. And increasingly, with some of the changes that have gone on with libraries over the course, of the last 10, 15 years, it's less of a citadel against all that loud world. It's become a part of the loud world. An example of this would be, every November, the American Library Association, they hold something called National Gaming Day. And they boast that this is the largest simultaneous national video game tournament ever held. To me, video games, they anesthetize minds. Books stimulate them. So,
I don't disagree with you, Daniel, although I'm guessing that the librarians view this as a way of introducing young people to libraries, and I think you and I would both applaud that. But there's a larger question here, and this is the larger issue that I think that, really, if we're going to have a conversation about this from both the left and the right, we should. And that is shouldn't there be public institutions that provide mental health treatment to the people who are mentally ill, that provide addiction treatment to the people who are addicts, that provide, that provide housing and a job to the people who are jobless or homeless? I'm old enough to remember before Reagan, stopped funding mental health in the United States and basically, opened the doors, and all of a sudden we had homeless people all over this country. Libraries are fairly quiet places in the 60s and 70s and the 50s. And, they haven't been now. Shouldn't we be doing something about these social problems that are popping up in your library?
Well, certainly. And I think...
What would you do about that?
Where my library is situated, there are a great deal of social programs, and that's just it. There's the Social Security Administration across the street. There's 2 homeless shelters within walking distance, and I see basically the homeless shelters tell them, 7 a.m., go out into the world and work or do whatever. And if they don't have a job, if they don't have something productive to do, a lot of these folks go to library. Most of them don't, most of them aren't loud and aren't bothering anyone, but there are some of them that are severely mentally ill, and they make it kind of a drag for everyone else.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go into the home, I think the homeless shelter has a purpose, and I wouldn't go into the homeless shelter and put in a bunch of stacks of books saying, hey, everyone read. I don't see why the homeless shelter should come into the library and sort of crowd out the purpose of the library. The homeless shelters serve a good purpose. Libraries serve a good purpose. I don't know that we should mix the two and act as though we're doing a good thing when we turn the library into the homeless shelter.
I agree. Well, and in fact, I'd take it a step beyond that, and I would say that beyond short-term emergency services, we shouldn't even need homeless shelters in this country. That if we were to go back to the standards that we had in the United States from the mid-1930s until the mid-1960s, and basically say that the government is the employer of last resort with the WPA and the CCC, you would not have that many homeless people. Oh, and by the way, we will provide you with free mental health care and institutionalization. Both things that really came to a screeching halt during the Reagan Revolution. Then we would not have homeless people. We would not have mentally ill people on the streets, and they wouldn't be showing up in your library.
I don't know that Ronald Reagan invented homeless people. It's sort of a convenient fiction. If you hate Ronald Reagan, you're going to say there were no homeless people prior to Ronald Reagan. There were. Of course, the deinstitutionalization.
They weren't the mentally ill homeless, though. I mean, there were a few paranoid schizophrenics who were absolutely unwilling to go into any facilities, but they were few and far between.
And a lot of
it has
to do with chemical dependency, and you have a lot of men who are dependent on chemicals.
Sure, and we should be treating them. We should be treating that, and there should be treatment centers for those folks. But, conservatives are constantly saying, oh, no, we can't fund that. Am I right? Wrong? Okay. Daniel J. Flynn, his website, Flynn Files, FLYNNFILES.com. Thank you, Daniel.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Good talking. We'll be back.